8.
You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hey, everybody. It is Thursday, August 1st. August already. Can you believe that? And the Batman the Cape Crusader just dropped on Amazon Prime. So I will be watching it hopefully this weekend. We'll have to see. But overall, that's my big plan for the weekend. After last weekend, with all of the news and stuff coming out of San Diego Con, we could use a little time to relax, don't you think? Maybe a little less news time. Hello to Triple B and to Ed. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go through the bulk of the news from San Diego Con, talk about Star Trek stuff. We'll talk about Marvel and DC stuff. And I want you guys to chime in on your thoughts because there was a lot of interesting stuff that popped up out of there. So I really want your thoughts on it. So join in on the conversation. We're going to do it that way today. So it's a little less formal and a little more interactive. So we'll just start taking the news bit by bit and see how it goes. All right. Let's do this. All right, everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Remember to stick around all day. We've also got What's in the Box of Miss Jen. We have the Geek Chat, and we have Sketch Up tonight. So we got a good lineup today. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're here. It would be greatly appreciated. And we are going to dive into the news, but we're going to do it to odd thing. Something came up recently. At San Diego, there was some media group asking trivia questions. And one of the questions, trivia questions of the stars, and one of the questions was, what phase is Marvel currently in? Now, a couple of them got it right, James McAvoy, stuff like that. Others guessed wrong, some, whatever. Jamie Lee Curtis went for a joke. She said bad. Now, you look online, there's a lot of people who would have agreed with her that this is currently not the best phase. So that made headlines. And it's like, come on, Jamie Lee Curtis is joking. Let's not blow this out of proportion, shall we? She made a joke about it being a bad phase. And then she went on to joke about the fact that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out around the same time as her movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And she joked about the fact that, let me see if I can find it. Doctor Strange was missing a dynamite dildo fight scene as well as a very erotic hot dog handing mating dance. Well, those were two things in her movie. So, to me, she was having fun. But instead, everybody covered it as, oh my God, Jamie Lee Curtis is dissing Marvel. Oh my God. So she's come out and apologized. She literally came out and posted that, says, my comments about Marvel were stupid and I will do better. I reached out to Kevin Feige and will no longer play in that mudslinging sandbox for competition we call the internet, nor will I engage in the toilet paper promotion or gameplay that is designed for clicks, not content or conversation. First thing, from what I've seen of Kevin Feige, the giant dildo battle thing would have made him laugh. Same with the hot dog thing. Those would have made him laugh because they were kind of funny. And they were differences between the two movies. So I don't think she should have apologized. Ryan Reynolds has since come out and said, wait, we're supposed to apologize for picking on Marvel since Endgame? And I think that's pretty much all of Deadpool. So let's back off of Jamie Lee Curtis. Because not only do I think she was joking, and we need to have a sense of humor, people. Come on. Let's not just get offended by everything. But also, I'd like to see Jamie Lee Curtis in the MCU. You know, I think, heck, had they not gone that direction, I think Jamie Lee Curtis would have made great Agatha Harkness or an Aunt May, or I don't know, if they do X-Men, she'd make a great, what is her name? Destiny, I think it is. Irene Adler from the Brotherhood, the one that can see the future and is in a relationship with Mystique. She used to be portrayed as an older woman. So, but there's tons of parts that she could play. So not only do I think Marvel should just go, yeah, those are funny, let's move on. I'd like to see her get into the MCU. Maybe she can be the new Kang. By the way, if you guys aren't watching The Bear, she is amazing in The Bear. So, all right, let's see what people are saying on the chat here. Well, we got some hellos. Not blow this out of proportion. Have you met the internet? Well, yeah, true, JD. Halloween Ends was bad. Well, okay, yes. Halloween Ends really disappointed. Okay. Wasn't the giant DD scene part of Rise of Skywalker? Possibly. It's been so long since I watched it, I forget. So, all right. So let's jump into the different things. We're gonna, like I said, we're just gonna cruise through some of the different things that were announced at San Diego Con. Feel free to jump into the conversation. The first one here is we're going to cover a non-comic thing. And this one is because still amazed at Everything Everywhere All at Once Perfect movie. I have yet to see it. I need to, but I have yet to see it. But I hear amazing things about it. So, all right, this one's kind of near and dear to my heart. This is about Dexter. And at the Showtime panel at San Diego Con, we found out we're getting a bit more Dexter than fans expected. Because, you know, they've got this Dexter Original Sin coming up, where they do a younger version of Dexter. It's like the origin of Dexter type of thing. With Patrick Gibson as a young Dexter. Christian Slater is playing a young father figure too. The father, adopted father. What was the name of him again? He was played by James Remar anyway. But, and it's going to be narrated by Michael C. Hall, the original Dexter. And I think that's awesome. But then they announced that there's also going to be a new modern day Dexter series called Dexter Resurrection, which will pick up from Dexter New Blood from back in 2021 and show what's going on with Dexter in the modern day. Now, that's kind of interesting because, not to spoil anything here, but in Dexter New Blood, Dexter dies. Turns out, turns out we saw that wrong. So, yeah. But now, if you guys wondering why Dexter is near and dear to my heart, if I haven't told this story, if I have, I'm sorry, but I was in Dexter. I was on an episode of Dexter. I watched the first season with absolute joy. I loved the first season of Dexter. And then a buddy of mine, Tone Rodriguez, called me up and said, dude, you can make one of my dreams come true. And I said, well, what's that? He goes, I can kill you. And I'm like, excuse me a minute. You want to explain that again? He says, I'm going to kill you. More information, please. And what it was is he and I used to travel together. We would go to the Emerald City show up in Seattle. We'd go to Wizard World Dallas. We'd go to all these cons. And we always did this as a straight drive. We never stopped. We never got hotel rooms. We just cannonballed it there and then cannonballed it home. Usually 24, 26 hours. And we'd sit next to each other at the show. We'd share a hotel room. So by the time we got back, the way Tone and I are, we sound like a very, what's a good way to put it? We almost sound like a married couple, but very acidic towards each other, very sarcastic. And it's usually a lot of fun to be around us because you listen to us bickering at each other. We entertained a table full of comic creators at one of the shows, just explaining our drive out there, and had them in hysterics the whole night because we were arguing with each other and talking over each other's stories. And well, we got back from one of the Dallas trips. We had been on the road for 24 hours. And I had forgotten something in his van. So I had to drive from my house out to his house to pick it up the next day. And I was still tired and he was still tired. So I get there and there's somebody there he's working with. He's doing some sketches and stuff. And as he's going on, the two of us start our bickering again. And the guy there just laughing his ass off. He thought it was hilarious. And his comment was, one of these days, one of you is going to kill the other one. And I laughed, and Tone laughed and stuff. And I thought that was it. Well, it turns out the project he was working on and the guy he was working with was one of the writers on Dexter. And the project was designing, at least I think this is what it was, because Tone designed, when in the second season, they introduced this comic character called the Dark Defender. And it was supposed to be Dexter in the way he was killing people around the Bay Harbor. And Tone did the artwork for that. And then when it came time to introduce it, the guy who wrote the script was the guy that we entertained that night. And he wrote in a comic book writer and a comic book artist that one killed the other one. And when it came time to casting, he told them, look, these two are based off of real people who work in comics. It would be a fun cameo to get them in this. So Tone, of course, got the call and called me and got me to agree and said, well, I want to kill you. And I'm like, do I get a choice? He goes, no, I'm taking the killing part. You get to be the dead body. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So sure enough, season 2, episode 5, there's a murder that takes place in a comic book shop. They find the body on the floor. He's been killed with, basically it's a snow globe. But what they did was they took an Aquaman snow globe and repainted it to look like a different character. And that was what killed me. I was hit over the head by an Aquaman snow globe, basically. And I was laying dead on the floor. I got to hang out on the set the entire day. I got to meet the actor who plays Dokes, the actress that played LaGuardia, and, of course, Michael C. Hall. I also got to meet the director who you guys would know him if you're Stephen King fans. He played the kid in Christine, the one that owned the car. So he went on to directing. So I got to meet all these people, hang out on the set. And it was interesting. Tone and I had very different experiences because Tone sat with all the extras, hung out and got, chit-chat with all of them. I was taken to the main set, sat there next to craft services. All of the actors checked to see if I was okay, if I wanted anything. And I was in full makeup. I had the top of my head looked like it was crushed in by the snow globe. And just for a behind the scenes secret, the brain matter and stuff is gray and pinkish sprayed. Well, it's a mix of two things. Some of it was watermelon and some of it was popcorn, and that's how they made the brain matter. And I sat there I had a 7 a.m. call. I got to sit with them in the makeup trailer, got over to the set, sat there most of the day, got to see Michael C. Hall messing around with people, got to see him go from friendly to Dexter. There was a scene where he's looking at the poster and I am on the other side. So you're seeing it from behind him and I'm seeing it from facing him, but I'm behind the curtain thing. And I see him staring. He's got this very congenial look on his face. And then when he realizes something, it's the Dexter mode switched in. It just goes. And it was scary. I also watched him mess with his assistant for a while. So it was a lot of fun. And I got to know everybody. And the fun part was I had a good scene when we were filming. The director was like, we need to lift his head up. Can we put his head on some of the comics or something to lift his head up? And they're all like, we don't know which ones are valuable and which ones aren't. And I lifted my head up. I went, okay, that's a black and white reprint. That's a black and white reprint. And that one, those three there, you can get away with. They're all, oh, cool. Thanks. So I've got my head sitting on a Silver Surfer Essentials. And it's all bloodied up and whatnot. And that's how I spent my day. And then, but yeah, I'm not on camera a long bit. But then Tone was in two different scenes. One where they go to arrest him, and one where they actually take him in to be booked. So he was getting the prime, real, time on screen. And then the episode came out. And sure enough, my dead body's on the floor. They're talking over me. There's a good moment there. And then there's the scene where he gets arrested. And I swear to you, he's on camera for long enough to get out of the truck and put a lollipop in his mouth and walk around. That's the extent of it. And they completely cut the second scene. So it worked out in the end. And the other difference was my character got named. So I was a named extra, which paid a little better. Also with makeup time, I got paid better for that too. So yeah, I was Denny Foster in the Dexter series. So, all right. So that's why Dexter's near and dear to my heart. Now, I loved seasons 1 of Dexter, really liked season 2. Season 3 was okay. The John Lithgow season kind of bounced back a little bit for me, but it got to a point where it was less about Dexter being Dexter and more about him dealing with all these relationship stuff. And it kind of lost the thread. And by the end of it, I thought this series finale was just horrible, but most people did. Yeah. Popcorn and Waterman. No wonder if zombies like brains. True. But I haven't had a chance to watch New Blood. I do want to, but I'm glad to see it coming back, and I'm glad to see Michael excited about it. So, all right. So that's my thoughts on the Dexter reunion or Dexter Return. I'm interested in the prequel series, but not as much as I am about Dexter Resurrection and going back and watching Dexter New Blood. All right, let's talk. One of the things having to do with the DC Comics thing today, the Batman Caped Crusader, is that this is the first DC project to come out that has the new, quote, DC logo. And if you didn't pick up on this over the weekend, DC has had a lot of different logos over the years. From 1976 to 2005, they had what they called the DC Bullet. And the reason they called it a DC Bullet is it was a DC on an angle, around with a circle and 2 stars, and it looked like the bottom of a bullet, where it would be struck. And then they kind of changed things up after that. There was the dishwashing soap logo with the little swirl around it, the star. Then there was the folding page logo. And then there was the Letterman's jacket logo that they've had for the last few years. And they came out and said, okay, we're going back to the bullet. And that's what they've done, is they're going back to the original bullet. It's got a little gradation in it now, which is nice. But it's going to be across everything. It's going to be on the animation. It's going to be on the movies, the TV, the comic books, the merchandising. Everywhere is going to be the DC Bullet. And if it's from the DC Studios, it'll have the bullet and then it'll say Studios after. Either the after or underneath. So they're bringing that back. And Gunn basically said, that's one of the things we had decided on early on, he and Peter Safran, is that they wanted to they needed a new logo and the best choice to go back to the one from 76 to 2005. And for me, that's the one I grew up on. I started reading comics in 1975, started getting stacks of them, older books from my grandparents who used to hit garage sales and stuff in Oregon, then send them to me. And I would see the older logo and stuff, but that big bullet in the corner, that was DC. That's what, stood out to me. And then they started doing these other ones, and they never quite had that feel to it, So I was really excited to see that come back. I don't know about you guys. Did you grow up with the bullet? Did you like one of the other logos? Now, I know I gave them kind of funny names, but it was kind of what was thought of when they came out. The Letterman jacket logo, the folding page logo, or the swirl one. I will be honest, I didn't know it was a bullet until they were getting rid of it. Because people in 2005, people kept going, they're getting rid of the bullet. I'm like, what do you mean they're getting rid of the bullet? Yeah, they're getting rid of the bullet. And I would see the logo. I'm like, how is that a bullet? And then somebody explained to me, it's the bottom of a bullet. And I reached over and I went, well, damn. Now I see it. So yeah, don't feel bad, Ed. It's more of an internal nickname, but so what do you guys think? You like going back to that? Does it kind of give you that sense that, okay, we're being serious now. We're going back to our roots. We're going back to when this stuff mattered. That's kind of the feeling I got. It's like, look, we've kind of lost our way. We're making these dark and gritty movies and stuff like that. And sometimes it works, but not every character is that, Batman is one way, Superman's a different. You need them to be different. Not everybody needs to be dark and gritty and killing people. So that's kind of what I got from the thing. All right. And then we'll do one more thing, then we'll take a break. The Boys. The Boys, great series, is expanding now with the main flagship series coming to an end after the next season. So there's one season left, but they've decided to expand. Besides Gen V, which is the college year or the college version, and there's also supposed to be a Mexican version of The Boys that's in the works. But they've announced Vought Rising, which will be a 1950s style series, but with Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy and Aya Cash as Stormfront. So those two characters are returning to be played in the original era. And we'll be talking about how Vought grows up in power and the the serum and all that. I think it's like something M or V, Compound V. When Compound V got discovered, probably the birth of a Homelander will be in there somewhere. So they do have this other series they're going to, which is great. Also, it was announced that Soldier Boy or Jensen Ackles will be a recurring character in the 5th and final season. So maybe we'll finally get that, battle to the death with Homelander. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll cover Star Trek, some more DC news, and hit the Marvel stuff. We'll be right back.
We know you probably get a lot of emails, but could you please make sure to sign up for our mailing list? We don't send a lot of emails, and we try not to bother you. We just want to give you the best information about all the cool stuff that's going on around here. Sign up on our website, theexplive.com.
You love comic books. You collect comic books. But even if you own a rare, expensive issue, it's still a copy. How would you like to own a piece of comic book history? The actual art pages the comics were made from? Oh no, you say. That's too expensive. Regular people can't afford that stuff. Can they? Nick Barucci says yes. Join the founder of Dynamite Entertainment for the original art experience on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. Incredible art at almost unbelievable prices. Does he have some high-dollar pieces for the high rollers? Sure, but Nick always makes sure to find amazing pieces priced for the fledgling collector. You can collect original comic art. The original art experience. Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Part of the experience.
Hey, JD, have you noticed how the music just kind of slowly fades away in the opening? Maybe a little too much. All right, let's talk about Star Trek. Now, I found this one to be interesting. Now, they dropped just a ton of Star Trek news, and I'm just going to cover the basics of it. But the first one was interesting, is rounding up all the news. Strange New Worlds. We'll be adding actor Cillian O'Sullivan as Dr. Roger Corby. Now, if you're a big Star Trek fan, you know that name. If you're not, then I will explain. Corby was an archaeologist and scientist who was supposed to have gone missing. He was engaged to Christine Chapel. In the original series, he was played by Mark Strong. And the Enterprise went to investigate his disappearance, only to discover that he and a few crew members were there. Blah, blah, blah. He ends up being an android. So he's a bad guy from the old series. But with Nurse Chapel in Strange New Worlds, maybe we're going to get him pre-Android. But yeah, so they're bringing Roger Corby in from the original series. The 5th and final season of Lower Decks, the animated comedy, will debut on October 24th. It will be 10 episodes long. This one blows my mind. They're currently discussing the possibility of a Star Trek musical. After the success of Strange New Worlds episode Substance Rhapsody, which was awesome, they're thinking we should just do an entire musical. They are also in early development on a live-action Star Trek comedy with Justin Simeon and Tawny Newsome from Lower Decks. Actually, they're voice actors on Lower Decks, and they're writing the pilot. This is a series where the Federation outsiders are serving a resort planet, and they find out that their day-to-day exploits are actually being broadcast across the entire quadrant. They gotta have William Shatner singing that musical. That would be good. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The upcoming Starfleet Academy is bringing a few legacy actors in. Tig Notaro, Oded Fehr, and Mary Weissman will be joining from Discovery. And if you're a Voyager fan, the ship's holodoc, played by Robert Picardo, will also be in the show. And they released a teaser trailer for Star Trek Section 31, which is an original film featuring Michelle Yeoh reprising her Discovery role as Philippa Georgiou. So all of that's coming up. But yeah, Star Trek musical. I'm a little burnt on Star Trek. I only recently got Paramount Plus, so I haven't been watching all the stuff they've been putting out. But I'll probably get around to it. One of the things, if you get a chance to sit down and watch Batman the Caped Crusader this weekend, I want to prepare you. There is one big change. And that, when it was first announced, we heard, well, Hamish Linklater is going to be Batman and Christina Ricci is going to be Catwoman, stuff like that. And then they gave us a bunch of other names like Minnie Driver. You know, Academy Award nominee Minnie Driver was going to be in the show, but we weren't sure who she was going to play. Well, we now know she's going to play a gender-swapped version of the Penguin called Oswalda Cobblepot. And look, I'll be honest, they never said what the reason was. They didn't come out and say, oh, we're trying to, diversify or anything like that. But if I had to guess, the fact that there's a brand new Penguin series going to start next month, they probably wanted to differentiate themselves just a little bit from that. So they gender swap her. Plus, there aren't that many female characters in the Batman universe. So, I mean, there's some, but by, number of villains and stuff is heavily male. So, speaking of the Penguin, this is kind of interesting. They released another teaser trailer for it, and we get to meet Oswald's mother. And I swear to you, that show is more and more feeling like The Sopranos to me every time I watch it. And I told you guys before that this is going to pick up like 1 week after the Batman and will end with leading right into the next Batman movie. So it's literally the bridge. And originally Matt Reeves planned to tell this story at the beginning of the Batman 2. But realized that it would take up too much space to do it properly. So that's where the idea of doing it as a series came from. Also in the trailer, we've seen Kristen Milioti's character of Sophia Falcone, but we didn't really get much backstory on her. We learned in this new trailer that she's already taken on the guise of the Hangman and has spent time in Arkham and has recently been released. Now, if you're not familiar with the Hangman, this is a persona she adopts in the Dark Victory series, where she goes after all of the people responsible for her father's death. So, Ed says, when do we get Batman 2? It's been bumped to 2026, October 2026. So not, and it's going to start filming next year. Also, Penguin will return in Batman 2. So, the Batman 2 Gotham Boogaloo. All right, let's get over to the Marvel stuff. And we'll get to the big announcements. But we got to see some stuff from Brave New World. It's confirmed that the Tiamat, the giant celestial sticking up out of the earth, is going to be a major factor in the movie. So all those people going, Penguin is going to be a 10-episode series, I believe. So all the people that have just been going, oh, they never talk about Tiamat. No. Well, no. Well, it turns out all the different nations are fighting over Tiamat because when they strip mine him, like they do in Nowhere, when they strip mine Nowhere in Guardians of the Galaxy, they get this metals and stuff. Well, when they strip mine Tiamat, they get adamantium, which is the first substance that has been found on Earth to at least become comparable to vibranium. So every nation wants it. And that's kind of the gist of what's going on. All these forces are trying to get this new element or new metal. So also it was announced that Giancarlo Esposito will be playing Sidewinder, the leader of the Serpent Society. So all the people that were guessing that he was G.W. Bridge or the Power Broker or anything else, he is Sidewinder. And we got to see a little bit more of the Red Hulk. We actually see Harrison Ford Ross transforming into Red Hulk at a podium by the White House. So that scene in the trailer where it's busting over the roof of the White House is probably Red Hulk. So, how about Jamie Lee Curtis's Diamondback? Wouldn't be bad, but they've already cast Diamondback. Diamondback will be in the new movie. From what I understand, they cut like Seth Rollins' character, who was going to play a different and replaced him with the Giancarlo Esposito character. But Diamondback is supposed to be in the movie. By the way, that is the next Marvel movie to come out. So, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine are in theaters now. Captain America, Brave New World, February 14th. So Valentine's Day. So you tell your girlfriend or your spouse or whatever, going to go on a date this night. Going to go to a movie, Valentine's Day movie, and then take her to see that. Or him, whatever's your thing. There's also a teaser for the Thunderbolts. And I think we can kind of verify that it is going to be the Sentry. Because in it, there are all these different questionable people are being sent in to take out somebody named Bob. And the Sentry, his real name is Bob. And it looks like that's the character Louis Pullman's playing. And yeah, once they get there, they all try to kill each other. So Valentin Allegra's in it, DeFontaine, Sylvester, Bucky Barnes or Winter Soldier. So all the characters we were expecting are in the trailer. The fun thing was at the panel, David Harbour comes dressed as Red Guardian, starts talking the crowd up, getting them going. And by the way, the costume he's wearing is horrible. It's a low-budget costume. And I'm thinking they didn't actually bring the real costume. I think they put one together that looks like, because if that's the costume they're using, that's not good. Anyway, so, so he's out there talking it up. Oh, yes, we are the Thunderbolts. And he turns and looks at the stage, and there's the rest of the cast all in normal clothes. And he's like, guys, we were supposed to dress up. I sent an email. It was a funny moment. The footage, though, was described as being very dark-hued and kind of trippy. And said to be unlike anything else we've seen in comic movies. So, could be interesting. That's going to be May 5th, 2025. Hey, Kenneth. All right. Now, you've probably seen it online. on TikTok, on something, but the footage shown for the Fantastic Four. First, we learned that it was Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Then we get this kind of 60s style propaganda, like, not propaganda, but, in the future, we'll have to lose our luggage in advance type of thing. But what that is that's not actually footage from the movie. They brought the actors in to do costume tests and then just shot a few things here and there so that they would have something to show to give you the feel for what they want to do with the movie. They didn't actually start filming until Tuesday of this week. So they started filming after Comic-Con. So the fact that they had this test footage, they used some animatics, stuff like that, it was just a fun teaser type thing. Also, we get to get a size idea on Galactus. And what we see is like if we're standing inside of a skyscraper, looking out the windows, and we see Galactus's eyes looking back in. So you get a good idea of how big he's supposed to be. But the other big bit of news that we got is that the Fantastic Four will be appearing in both of the upcoming Avengers movies. So somehow they're going to be connected to our universe, even though they're starting off in a different one. It'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, we got the big news. Marvel came out, and we knew that they needed to push the Avengers movies because there wasn't going to be enough time to have one out in 2025, one out in 2026. And they didn't when they didn't even have a director yet. Well, they got two. Basically, they figured out how to go forward by going back. And how they did that was by bringing back Joe and Anthony Russo. Now, why Joe and Anthony Russo? Well, let's look at the four movies they've made for Marvel. Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. Those are some of the most beloved movies that Marvel have put out. So, yeah, going back to them makes a lot of sense. They've also gone back to one of the two writers from most of those. The Russos tend to work with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Well, Stephen McFeely's back. We don't know where Marcus is. Don't know why he's not there. No one said anything. Don't know if McFeely's going to be working with anybody else. But the press release says Stephen McFeely is back. So maybe they had a falling out. You get these writing pairs that go together for a long time and then they stop. The guys that recreated the Guardians of the Galaxy, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, they were working together for a long time, and then they had a falling out and decided not to work together anymore. It happens. So, well, Avengers Secret War is the sixth film. It's still going to be called Avengers Secret War. It got moved to early May 2027. The fifth Avenger movie, formerly called Kang Dynasty, got a subtitle change because they're trying to move away from Kang since all the legal issues with Jonathan Majors. And the new title is Doomsday. Yep, with Dr. Doom. And, of course, they show the new logo. It's going to be out in 2026. It's got this green and metal hue to it. And we don't see that much of Galactus. We basically just see the middle of his face here. But it looks like he's wearing the helmet. The mask part over his eyes looks like the giant helmet. So, all right. So, on stage comes a bunch of people dressed as Dr. Doom. And these aren't good costumes. These are just store-bought helmets with green cloaks. And sure enough, they're standing there and they announce, oh, yeah, we're doing Dr. Doom. But this is probably one of the most important characters in the Marvel Universe. They were finally getting to, we have to get a good actor to do this. And there was only one actor we can think of. And here he is. And most of the Doom's part, and there's one more Doom. And he's got the mask and the cloak on, But he's also got a green suit on. Like he actually bought a green dress suit, which should have told us right there who it was. But he walks out and he puts the head down and he takes the mask off and stands in front of the crowd and is revealed to be Robert Downey Jr. And the place goes frickin' nuts. Just insane. So, they also said that playing our Victor Von Doom will be... So, this is not a Tony Stark variant. This is not Tony Stark becoming Doctor Doom. This is Victor Von Doom. So what does that mean for the universe? Well, first thing, we're getting the Fantastic Four beforehand. So I'm thinking that Doom is going to show up in the Fantastic Four first and be part of whatever comes over. Now, whether they come over or it's part of the incursion, he's going to be part of it, so we're going to get him early. Will we see his face? I don't think we are. I don't think we're going to get his face a lot. I think we'll get his voice and his eyes and stuff like that. But I think we'll mainly get somebody in armor. And then later in one of the other two movies, there will be a moment where the mask gets knocked off and we see Robert Downey Jr. and we see the Avengers' reaction to the face of their fallen comrade on their new enemy. You know, think about how devastating that'll be to Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, Pepper Potts if she's there. You know, Riri Williams, who idolizes Tony Stark. You know, you've got a lot of characters that would be emotionally hit by Tony Stark being there. And even if it's not him, that moment is going to shock them. And that is right there what I think is going to be what's played for. That moment. And says, I got to share this laugh with my wife. Isn't into comics, but loves the movies. She came in my den. Did you hear Morton Downey Jr. is going to be a villain named Doom now in the new movies? Morton Downey Jr., the old talk show host? Oh, that's hilarious. Morton Downey Jr. was this, if you guys don't know, was this older right-wing talk show guy on like early cable TV or like really obscure channels and stuff. And he would do this show and he would be yelling and stuff. And yeah, it was, he had his like 15 minutes of fame, but so yeah. JD says he was in one of my favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Okay, cool. Which episode is that? Yeah. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and we'll take a break. We come back. I will tell you my thoughts on how I feel about Robert Downey Jr. coming back and what I think that's going to mean. So we'll be right back.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com.
By this time in our journey, we had been on the trail of a very elusive creature for about 96 hours. But all the hard work is about to pay off. Oh, crikey, there she is. Oh, by the markings, I'd say this one's at least a 9.8. Oh, she's a real beauty. A true mint copy. Oh, this one will make a fine slab on anyone's display wall. Oh, she's a feisty one, though. Look out, look out!
Mint Hunter Comics is the place to find that mint comic you've been searching for. Mint Hunter Comics, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, part of the experience. Ask your local comic shop to add Battle Quest comics to your pull list today. Whoa. Whoa. Did you miss it? Yeah, they can go by pretty fast. Let's slow down the footage.
Welcome. It's time to skim some comics. Miles Morales Spider-Man, I will just tell you that Miles is very important in his role as a vampire. So.
It's fine. If you like Hercules, read it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine.
The art is still stunning. There's a panel, little spoiler, there's a panel in this where Chitauri first hits Lion-O, and he is the best "did she really just hit me" face I've ever seen put in a comic book.
Wow, live reviews of new comic books so you can be ready for New Comic Book Day. What is this? Oh, I see. It's Minute to Skim It. Part of the experience.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And remember to stick around for What's in the Box, the Geek Chat, and Sketch Up tonight. All right, I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. returning and then bringing in Dr. Doom. I'm mixed. I love the idea of RDJ coming back. I love the idea of him being Doom in a multiverse and the emotional triggers that might make happen. What I'm not happy about is them moving away from Kang. And I realize it's difficult when your actor turns out to be a douchebag. You know, and what do you do about that? But you spend two seasons of Loki and an entire movie in Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania setting up this guy. You have a teaser that shows the councils of Kang. My hope is that they don't just drop it. You know, if Doomsday is Doom versus the Council of Kangs, I'm great. I'm all for it. I am not all for, if Kang plays a role going forward, great. But for them just to go, bye Kang, okay, that doesn't work for me. I don't want that. And, you know, just because the actor there are plenty of good actors who could step into the role. And we as an audience can handle when you change an actor. We've been watching James Bond do it for a very long time. We've been watching Doctor Who for a very long time. You can change actors. So just swap it out and finish the Kang story. Now, does it have to be as grandiose as it was? No, you can scale it back a bit, but also don't make it, and Kang died on the way back to his planet. We need some actual resolution to the Kang story, and I'll be greatly disappointed if we don't get that. Ed says, I have a sneaky suspicion they're either going to kill off Kang thing early on or just skip it altogether and play around in the multiverse. And yeah, that's my fear. Marvel already gets kind of blasted for that. There are things out there that they haven't resolved. Where's the White Vision? Where are the Eternals? With Arishem, what's going on with that? We're finally getting around to figuring out what's going on with Tiamat, but there's that whole question of the Eternals, and you introduce Star Fox, played by I can't remember the actor, the guy's name, but so you've got these characters. What are you going to do with them? You can't just leave them out there. Moon Knight's been sitting on his hands. She-Hulk, haven't done anything with She-Hulk in a while. Where are these things? You either need to slow down and stop introducing new things and play with the toys you have, or find ways to give resolution with those new toys as well. So I don't want them just to walk away from Kang. I want a resolution to the story. And I want a good resolution to the story, not a supper's ending resolution. If you're not familiar with the supper's ending term, it's a writer's term basically, which means that you've got this great story working out and suddenly someone yelled out, dinner's ready. And you go, and everybody died. The end. My best example of that was the movie Magnolia with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Tom Cruise and stuff. There's a point in the movie where all this stuff is all over the place, and suddenly they have a frog storm where live frogs are falling from the sky. And I don't mean little tadpoles, I mean big bullfrogs. And people are dying and they're shattering things. And that's how they resolved the movie, with a freaking frog storm. Total supper's ready. So I don't want that. I want a real resolution to Kang, and then bring Dr. Doom in and put them at odds with each other, whatever you want to do. But no, let's not just wipe away Kang because of the situation. The fans deserve better than that. So, all right, guys, then we're going to wrap it up there. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in. If you have not checked out the Karma Kickstarter, please do so. He says, heck, Jonathan Major spends 5 years apologizing and donating to domestic violence shelters. He may get the part back. Always a possibility. But he needs to apologize that first time still. So, all right, so check out Karma if you get a chance. We're into our last week now. We still need some more backers. So please tell your friends about it and have them tell their friends and have their friends tell their friends, and so on and so on. So have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you next week. Good night.